and grow your network there on LinkedIn. That's the first way to start. Also, keeping tabs with recruiters is good. There's a lot of recruiters specializing in IT, especially in Stockholm and Gothenburg. Up north, there's not so many. There's me, and there's a few more. But it's a good way to register with their companies and keep in contact with them, so to make sure you're on top of mind on their list as well. Because recruiters have a way of, we speak with talents, we speak with a lot of organizations, we know what's going on in the job market, and it might be a good way into an IT company as well. A lot of recruitment companies have trainee positions to companies like Tieto, Swedbank, and other major organizations. That might be a way in as well. Be patient. You might have to apply for a lot of jobs and get a lot of no's. But you have to keep applying and to get there. And when you're searching for the job you want, it might be a bit frustrating not having anybody to share these thoughts and tricks with. So I would say try to find a community or a group where you can share different tips on how they made it, how you can do it and such. I know Facebook have a lot of IT groups. They have Teknik Kvinnor, which is for women. I can send a few examples to Alida after this meeting of examples of group you can join on Facebook, where they actually, it's a community where they both post jobs and they actually help each other to find the job you want. How to find your dream employer. As I said in the beginning, before you look, don't look for the job, look for the employer. When you find the job market you want to be in, if it's IT security, find out what companies works in IT security. Learn more about the company before you apply. Start with finding the company on LinkedIn. Look at what people work there. Can you interact with employees through LinkedIn? You can always add, don't be afraid to add contacts on LinkedIn. It's a professional network where I would not suggest you share pictures of children and what you do on the weekends. That's for Facebook. But it's a professional network that more people use every single day. So when you want to find out more about your dream company, use LinkedIn. You can interact and connect with employees of the company. Also look at the values of the company you want to work for. Are these values you can stand for? Because when you want to work with a company in the long run, it's not going to be the money at the end of the day that keeps you happy. It's going to be a sense of belonging to the company, feeling I stand for what this company stands for. The core values also creates some part of the management or the leadership, the culture you have in this company. So make sure you can actually identify yourself with this employer. After you've done that, identify what kind of roles they have in the company and what skills they need for the role you actually want. Say it's a front-end developer focusing in React that you want to. Find out exactly what skills and what the role require from you in this company. When you've done that, it's easier to apply. You can adjust your CV and your cover letter for this position itself. A lot in every recruitment process, the employer is going to check for references on you. My suggestion would actually be check references on your potential manager. You want a good manager. You want somebody who sees your potential, who will give you the responsibility and the development you need in your role. And how you do that, it might be a bit tricky, but one thing will interact with employees on LinkedIn. Ask them, what is it like to work in this company? Because at the end of the day, the best employer branding a company will ever have is their employers. They are ambassadors for the company. And if they are truly happy in the company, they will not be afraid to tell so. But when you've got all this groundwork done, you're ready to apply. As I said before, and actually how to get that job you want. It's very important that you know who you are and how to communicate it. What are your key attributes? What are your key strengths? What do you need to develop? You will get questions about this. What will you contribute with? It's not just the experience. Prior IT, you've done something. Every single work, every single course, every single part-time job you've had has given you an experience, or you've learned something from this. Use this as examples in what you can contribute to the job you want. Also, practice makes perfect. If you are nervous for an interview or such, practice. Find somebody that you know or do not know as well, and ask them, can you have an interview with me, just to practice? Because you want to be prepared for questions, and the questions employers ask in interviews, you can find great examples online. It will be a lot about who you are as a person, what you want to do, what will you be able to contribute with, but also what do you have to develop? Because you're not just, nobody's perfect. There are always sides you have to work on, and be sure you know how to answer these. And the only way you know how to answer these great is that you know who you are and how to communicate it. As I said, every skill and experience matter. So don't leave these things out from your CV, thinking that they only want to see your IT experience. A CV shouldn't be too long, but any experience is relevant because you always learn. As I said earlier as well, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort, and you have to be patient in this process. Some of you might be lucky and get the job you seek the very first time. It might take a few tries for a few of you, and keep doing the effort and the time. And you might have to do a lot of groundwork to find the best employer for you or that dream job. But it's going to be worth it in the end, because when you wake up on Monday morning and you go to work with a work you actually love, it's going to be worth that journey you've made. There's different ways of applying as well. I think every organization has different ways of how to apply for their jobs. Right now, a lot of tech jobs are through social media. How you present yourself could be with a portfolio, especially in front-end development or UX designers. If you have been creative, done something on the side of your jobs, create a portfolio that you can show when you apply for a job. Create a LinkedIn profile that stands out with a professional photo, as I said, your experience, that is your digital CV. Because a lot of jobs, you might just have to send in your LinkedIn profile. Your digital CV, I would say, is your LinkedIn profile. Look at it as everything, any information you have on your CV should be on your LinkedIn profile, except your references and such. Do not leave any too private details on social media, but consider LinkedIn your digital CV. I got the questions earlier, or we talked about this, me and Alida, whether to use the cover letter or the CV. I actually don't use neither in a lot of the jobs or the companies I work for. When you interview based on your competence and potential, the questions we ask will be enough instead of using a CV. But if you are making a traditional CV that most employers still require, make sure it keeps a profile where it will say who you are, what are your key strengths. Again, why did you apply for this job? Keep it short. Your education and courses, your experience, and other stuff, such as, do you have a driving license? Have you done volunteering work? You do not have to leave your references on your CV when you send it in. Rather say something can be left upon request. Some employer might actually call them before you're ready. You don't want that. You do not want them to call your references until you say it's okay. Because that they are of value to you in your whole career. Unless your employer asks for a cover letter, I would say do not send in a cover letter. Just keep a really, really sharp and good CV. I don't use cover letters. When I get them, I do read them. I read every single application I get. But the cover letter, more and more companies are saying no to cover letters. And I would say the trend in HR and recruitment right now is to leave out the cover letter. If you have a cover letter you want to send in, send it. But rather send in a short email explaining who you are and why you applied for this role. Because a cover letter should only mirror your CV. So if you have all the information they need on your CV, you shouldn't have to apply with a cover letter. right? Finding jobs as well. There's a different. Every company have different ways of letting know you know that they are looking for employees. LinkedIn is still the best source to find an IT job, both from junior to senior positions, even trainee positions. Facebook, as I said, I'm going to send a few groups to a leader after this where you can find IT jobs. And they post jobs on Facebook actually. And Blocket, which is a traditional Swedish site where you can sell stuff. If you have left a bike from last season you want to sell, you put it on Blocket. But Blocket also have a job section. So a lot of companies actually publish their jobs there. If you want to work in the public sector, they always post a job on the Swedish Employment Center, Arbetsförmedlingens hemsida. Most of the tech companies actually don't do that anymore, but always have a look at that site. When companies post jobs on these, say 3 of these sites, there's a lot of free job sites that will pick them up. So if you're on Monster, Indeed, or anything like that, you might find the IT jobs as there as well. But I would say start with LinkedIn and Arbetsförmedlingen. But all companies do not publish their jobs on Arbetsförmedlingen. Apart from public sector jobs, they have to, by law, publish them there. Questions? See, I was quick.
Thank you so much, Hannah. You have given us very good insights and tips. I have a few questions here, so I'm going to read it.
Yes.
So there is one question. When looking for IT project management job, what kind of opportunities I should look for? The language barrier comes most of the times. I always got rejected because of the Swedish language barrier. What is your idea about this?
One, start studying Swedish if you have not. It's a good thing to do. But look for international companies. I know a lot of, if your English is good, it shouldn't be a problem. There are a lot of companies in Sweden that do not require you speaking Swedish, and saying that you have to speak Swedish for coffee during the break is, come on, that's old. So I would say start looking for international companies. The public sector jobs might be harder, but there's a lot of IT companies who only speaks English. Gaming companies, casino companies, the more creative employers, I would say. Won't see it as a problem. So if you find an international company, it's easy for you to start there.
Yes, thank you. The next question said, could you please give us tips for freshers to get internships or jobs? Because most of the internships require also experience.
Well, then I would say when you look for them, search for academy programs or in trainee programs. I know that there's one consulting company called Omega Point. They have a base in Stockholm and in Umeå, and I'm sure different cities as well. Their trainee programs are people who graduated from university. So most of them, if it's a trainee program, they should not require experience. It depends what kind of company it is. So I think there's also a site where you can find these trainee programs. Internships might require experience, but there are companies who have academies or trainee positions for newly examined IT professionals. So
great. The next one, yeah.
Oh.
The next question is, I have a design and art teaching background, and I am interested to study UI UX design. However, I in my late 50s have concerns about entering the job market. How realistic is it for someone like me to start employment in UI UX after completing the UI UX course?
Shouldn't be a problem. There's a big debate right now no, but it shouldn't. There's a massive debate right now, or it has been going on for a while, in age discrimination. It's actually one of the things we haven't talked about. When you look at somebody who's, I'm sorry, but if you come out fresh out of school and you're 18, 19, and you're 50, who's going to be more secure and know themselves better? Somebody who's 50, you got experience for life, you got experience from different roles, you've learned things, you know how to work, you have life experience that a younger person doesn't have, it should not be a problem, because it's who you are and what you're willing to do that's going to matter. But saying this, I also know that there are companies that might not act accordingly. So I hope you find a company that will see past that, because age shouldn't be a problem. And to be honest, you can leave out name and number. You can leave out your age in applying for the job. It's not. They don't need to know that. It's not relevant for the job you're applying for.
Exactly, I agree. Let's continue the questions. The next one says, how to apply for a job in IT sector when your past job experience was in a different area?
You still apply, but you apply for the junior positions. When you, as I said before, any experience is relevant, because from every job you've had, it's given you an experience. Teamwork, stress, problem solving. Any job will require different skills. But when you're applying for these IT positions and you're starting fresh, you need to be prepared to start at the bottom again in a junior position and work your way up. And when you present your CV, tell them in your CV why you want to work in IT. Why did you choose to go do this IT course?
Yes, I totally understand. Let's continue on just gathering all the questions. So what English language skill do I need to take a UI UX course? Well, that is more for us. So the English level that all our courses are in English. So as soon as you are comfortable talking and understand the language, let's say that you have a B1 level, you are eligible to do the UI UX course with us. The next question is, does it matter for which country I come to attend the course? That is also for us. No, it doesn't matter. You can do the course everywhere in the world as long as you can connect during the live lessons that are in Central European time. I will send an email later on today or tomorrow with more information about our courses and our schedule and methodologies. The next one, I am studying UI design now. What is more important for a beginner, a certificate or a portfolio? That's the question.
Say the question again, sorry. What's more important?
If the person is studying UI UX design and he or she wants to know what is important for a beginner, to have a certification or to have a portfolio?
It depends on the company you apply for. Portfolio is always good to have, but as I do not send in your portfolio at the first try. Tell them you have a portfolio if you want to show it. If you have your own website or something similar, you can add parts of your portfolio there. You can add parts of your portfolio to your LinkedIn profile. It all depends on what you want. It's equally important, I would say.
Okay, perfect. The next question is, what was the name of the academies you said is in Stockholm for internships and training programs? I think you mentioned, I think it was Codemil. You mentioned?
No. Omega Point.
Omega Point.
Yeah. No, there's a site where you can find all the training positions. I will send it to you later. I don't know it by heart now.
Okay, great. So as soon as Hannah shared it with me, I will share it with everybody by email tomorrow. Because
that's just one. I wouldn't. There's just one company that I work with, for an example. But I know there's a lot of companies that take in ABB, Volvo, Scania, all the major.
Accenture also, I believe they have. Accenture also, I believe they have.
Exactly.
Academy. One person asked, most UI UX jobs ask for 2 or 4 years experience, whereas this area is like 8 years old. Why?
Because they want somebody who's been working. Most people want somebody with experience, but apply anyway. Explain to them why. I mean, you need to get an experience. You have to get the experience somewhere. And if everybody wants to experience staff, you can't do so much. But there will be junior roles out every now and then. because most companies, most successful companies, have a mixture of senior, junior, and mid-level experience. So when they say 2 to 4 years, for me, that's still a junior position. Anything beneath 5 years is junior, depending on what company you work for. Because when you work, they probably want somebody who works for a while, who know what they're doing, but still are willing to learn. So when you apply for the junior roles, you want actually Google junior UX UE roles, and those jobs will come up. They're harder to find.
Yeah. Okay, great. Next question. I am changing career because of COVID-19. I was not able to go into school because of COVID-19. I then started studying Java backend developer from distance online courses, which are very good. Do you think I can have a chance to get a job?
Yes.
Yes, totally. I mean,
yes.
It's no problem.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people have been affected by COVID. IT is still going. There's obviously been companies been affected in IT as well, but this requires more IT people because we're going to be more digital than ever. So yes, no problem.
Great. And encourage, yes.
Yes.
So can you provide some examples of good CV?
Yeah, I tried to go through it shortly. A CV should be the most important thing is I can't send a CV to show because I'm not allowed to do that. A good picture, a good professional picture of you should be on the CV. Your contact information, this is at the top, your name. You can get creative with a CV, with colors and such like that, but don't do it too complicated, because the most important thing for me reading an CV is the information I get out of it. Your profile section, keep it simple. What are your strengths? Why did you apply for this job? This is where you can actually say when they employ you, what do they get? Who do they get? What do you contribute with? Keep it very, very short. Then your relevant, your courses and your education, even though the things that are not from IT, if you have a bachelor degree from something else prior this, put it there. Any short courses is important as well. And then your experience. Do not leave out information prior IT. Keep it there. And then a short section in the end about other information, such as volunteer work, if you have driving license, such. Do not write what you do in your spare time. Not interested. That's something I will ask about when I speak to you. But if you're a person who's developing or doing something on the side that contributes to your work, I will put it there. But yeah.
Great. The next question is, I have no experience working in IT, and I don't know what kind of job I would enjoy working with yet. Where can I learn about the different jobs there are and get a better idea of what they are?
Google companies, Google IT jobs, and try to find a mentor. Try to find somebody who's an IT professional today and speak to them. Ask them questions, what different roles they are. This is not a question for me to answer as a recruiter. You need to find somebody in the IT field today. Can you find a mentor? Find somebody online. Do you know somebody working in IT? Ask them these questions. I would start by Googling actually. And if you're interested in taking a front-end UI UX course, try to find, if you find a job ad relevant to these roles, try to find that company, actually call them and talk to them. The best way would be to find a mentor that can ask you these questions or answer these questions for you.
Great. There are no more questions now. No, there is one more. How do we negotiate a reasonable salary for an entry-level IT support role in Sweden? That's a hard question, to be honest. I believe in individual salary. I don't believe the salary is the reason you go to your job, but you still should have good salary. You shouldn't have a lower salary because
you're a junior applying for a junior position, or you're changing your job field. But there are companies who keeps track on wages for different IT roles in Sweden. I'm sure a leader can find them for you. SCB have some of them. Some of the unions have lists of what their members, what kind of money do they have, and they will say developer, front-end developer, and know that that's something to aim for. Or ask around. If you have friends in the IT sector, ask them what they make, if they're willing to share that information. Not everybody is.
I believe that there are also these unions that you said, Unionen, all these kind of things that you can call them and just explain your background, your experience, what you want to do, and they can give you a rough idea about what should be the salary that you should ask or you should earn. But of course, everything is negotiable. As I said, Hannah, is like individual salary, but you can get a rough idea about what is the minimum salary maybe that you need to request or to ask for. Another question is, what are chances for freshers to get an IT job?
I would say it's good. Companies still, as I said before, companies need junior people as well. Everybody comes in with some sort of experience and fresh eyes. When you're newly educated or just done a course, you might have insights that some of the people who've been working in the company for a long time do not have. And companies will value that. So I think the chances are good.
Great. Another question. There is a huge gap in my CV. I had health issues, and so I have many years when I didn't study or work. How can I write my CV around that? I am in my 30s already, and so it is hard to write a CV due to my lack of experience.
That's a hard question. When they ask you, be upfront about it. I don't actually know. Some people actually write out that in the CV that why the leave for absence. But at the same time, you do not want to be left out due to saying that in a CV, and I don't think you should be. The best way, but at the end of the day, the best way forward is to be honest. I think that's the best policy always. So if you write on your CV on leave or the reason for why you've been on, why you haven't been doing anything, that's up to you. But I would say, I don't actually know what to say. Try to write some on leave or traveling, or don't write anything, and they will ask you about it. Or if you send in a CV and a cover letter, in the cover letter you can explain your absence, but you can also explain why you're back now. So in these cases, I would think put more effort into your cover letter. Normally, as I said in the beginning, I don't think you need a cover letter, but to explain your gap, it's hard to explain that in your CV. I would explain it in my cover letter and explain what you want to do now.
Yes. There is a comment from another participant that said, thank you, Hannah, for the information. I feel a bit more confident as COVID-19 affecting my former job, but I had been studying hard doing online courses, but you give me confidence that I can get work if I have enough skills. So we are happy to hear that you feel more encouraged and happy and confident about it. There is no more questions, but I would like to ask one. For example, sometimes you have in the job application that you should call, or there is a number that you can call if you have any questions. Do you recommend, for example, that to have that kind of call so they can remind you when you are applying to the job?
Yes, it's all yes and no. It's always good if you have questions, call always. And if they left a number in job ad, it's there for you to be able to contact them. And sometimes when people call me, that actually makes me, I get interested in the person because they present themselves really well. But as well as that, be prepared. Be prepared to present yourself. Ask how is the process going. I applied. But why did you apply? Be very positive and forward. And if they do have the time for you, they will answer your questions. but don't call every day.
Yeah, of course.
Another
yeah, I can imagine. Another comment is, regarding the gap in my CV, do you think it will be better to say that I had health issues, which is also very private, or maybe to say that I was a housewife, which is also true?
If you were a housewife, write that on your CV. But when they ask you, you can tell them. You don't have to go into details about why you were sick. You don't have to go into detail with your health issues. But a lot of people will be understanding and caring about it.
Okay. Next questions. In general, would you say that the Swedish job posts for technical jobs are accurate? Can you apply even though you don't have 2 or 3 skills on the 10 skill list that they post?
If you're willing to learn and adapt, yes. The list for skills in a company shouldn't be, it all depends on what kind of job it is. If it's a senior role where you acquired Java, React, Angular, a long list of code, I think most tech companies will be more interested in a person who's willing to learn, got 1 or 2, 3 of these 10 skills, who's willing to learn, who's eager, who's curious, who's got the right personality, rather than the checklist. The personality is always more important. You cannot change who you are. You can change who you are, but it's easier to learn new things and new skills than it is to change who you are.
Thank you. The next question said, could you recommend me a good online program or course to get a better chance of job? We can recommend you Through the Academy. We have several kind of IT courses. I will send an email to later today or tomorrow with the courses that we have available, but we have front-end development, UI, UX, project management, and Python for beginners. We have also QA manual for beginners, digital marketing, and advanced JavaScript that is more for seniors. Do we have any other questions? We have still like 5 minutes to go. If someone has any other questions, just write it down. We wait a few seconds. Other than that, we can just thank Hannah for this amazing presentation and insight. I like that people seem to be more confident and positive about getting a new job, which is super good. And we are happy to give you more information about our courses later on. You can also check our website, vitrudeacademy.se. So you will find all the information in regards to the courses. And also there is my phone number there. And I will write here my email if you would like to send me a private email in regards of our courses or anything else that you are wondering. Let's see. So thank you. Can I contact Hannah if I want to in the future for advice? I will share Hannah's LinkedIn on the email, so I believe you will be able to contact her if you have any questions or you need any advice.
Yes.
So if there is no more questions, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Hannah, so much. And good luck, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.